Well, here we are on the bow of Mighty Sparrow. Today we're doing just a quick little sail change. I'm out somewhere in the middle of the ocean, and it seems like the weather is starting to ease off. It's a very common occurrence out there, and what I'm going to do is put the drifter up, and this is actually my small drifter, and then take down the staysail. And this is something that you have to do out at sea pretty often, a couple times a day or night, doesn't really matter. But I go up on the bowsprit, and the first thing I have to do is lead all of the hank-ons up to the forestay and clip them on. It's always kind of a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience. And before anybody wants to comment about how I should have a harness on or a life jacket, go right ahead because I've heard those criticisms many, many times before. And the best thing I could say is you got to do what you are used to and what you like to do. And this is basically essentially me holding on for dear life and knowing that if I fall overboard, I am going to die. So that's as much safety as I really need. So I pull every last little one up forward. And ideally, if I can, I'm going to keep every bit of that sail from falling overboard by utilizing the lifelines and the bowsprit itself. Also, the whisker stays help to keep everything on board. A lot of times when I do this, it's really not the best conditions and you're getting soaking wet and it's kind of a pain, but luckily this little sail change here, I seem to be pretty dry because I don't have any of my foul weather gear on, and it's probably decently warm. So I'm getting every little hank on. There's about 10 or 12 on that sail alone. And once I get those, I'll connect up the halyard. But it can be a bit of a frustrating process as well. If something gets caught, then you got to stop what you're doing, come back on board Sparrow, and then unhook whatever it is, and then go back up. You can imagine doing this in the dark of night, and that's when things can get even more interesting and frustrating, and you really have to be 100% focused onto what you are actually doing and not sort of get distracted. But the whole time, you also have to be aware of what's going on around you with the ocean and with the waves so that you don't get caught off guard. Now that I've got all of the hank-ons going, I just grab my halyard and I'm going to hook that to the top of the sail and prep it on. Now I have a little bungee cord that I'm hooking on right there to keep just a bit of tension on that halyard so that up top in the mast, the halyard doesn't get caught on anything and doesn't get messed up or fouled. Now before I leave, so that I don't lose any of that sail over into the sea and make it impossible to be able to hoist, I'm going to tie down first off the jib sheets, but then I'm also going to, you can see how the sail is starting to balloon out a little bit. This is a point where you definitely are about to lose the sail over the side. And again, it just makes the process really, really nasty and messy if you do. And so I really want to prevent that. Once I get my sheets tied off, I'm going to bundle things up a little bit and be able to just secure it ever so slightly because the point of this whole thing is to be able to raise the sail up pretty quickly. Some boats you're going to find that you would have a roller furling headsail, and there's been plenty of times where I've thought that it would be really nice to have one of those right now. But at the same time, I like this because I can change the sails completely and I can also really count on those hank-ons to not ever fail. So I'm just going to twist the sail up just a little bit, take one of my securing lines and tie a reef knot, and essentially it's going to be pretty secure for the next minute or two before I actually go and hoist the sail. All right, job is done. Let's check the ocean around. The winds are still continuing to die off a bit, so I think my game plan is to go ahead and hoist. So now I head up to the mast and I'm going to quickly undo my one little reef knot that I tied. Now The sail is ready to be hoisted. Grab my jib halyard and get ready to pull it up as fast as possible. And I already have this sheet set so that essentially the sail won't be luffing like crazy or anything like that. Up goes the drifter, all the beautiful colors. Very lovely. And I'm going to cleat that off and just give it a couple of cranks with the old winch handle just to make sure she's super tight. Cleat it off and then back to the cockpit to drop that other sail. There goes the staysail right there. Drops right down, right onto the lifelines. Again, because I'm the only person on board, I have to do one thing and then run back and do the other. And with the staysail, again, because I'm out at sea for weeks at a time, I'm going to go ahead and just lash it down up front because chances are the winds are going to change again. The drifter probably is going to have to come down and the staysail is going to then go back up. Which is part of the reason why I have so many sails, and I also like to have very strong sails so they can take a beating and stay up on deck for a long, long time. So all I'm going to do with the staysail is just give it one lashing right around where the bowsprit is. I'll run back, tighten up the halyard, and that's pretty much it. And that's really just the sail change on Mighty Sparrow. Done maybe 1,000, 2,000 times since I've owned the boat. It really is something where once you've done it a bunch of times, it becomes second nature. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video and basically changing a sail on a Westsail 32.